You finally got the promotion. You landed the big client. You hit the goal you've been chasing for 2 years. And then something strange happened. Instead of feeling amazing, you felt anxious, hollow. Maybe even like you wanted to run away from the very thing you worked so hard to build. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know something right now. You are not broken. You are not ungrateful, and you are absolutely not alone. What you're experiencing has a name. It has a neuroscience. And today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most misunderstood phenomena in all of psychology. The reason your own brain actually punishes you for being successful. Here's the hard truth that almost nobody talks about. Your brain was not designed to help you succeed. It was designed to keep you alive. And those two things are not the same. Deep inside your brain sits a small, almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. It is ancient, it is fast, and it is almost always scanning for danger. For hundreds of thousands of years, this system kept our ancestors alive by responding to threats, predators, starvation, being cast out of the tribe. The problem? Your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a promotion. To your primitive brain, anything unfamiliar, even something wonderful, registers as a potential threat. Neuroscience research confirms this in a striking way. As studies have found a direct link between larger amygdala volume and a greater tendency to hesitate, delay, and avoid taking goal-directed action. And here's the part that should make you pause. Under stress, activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational planning and self-control, actually decreases. That means right when you need your wisest thinking the most, your brain is essentially handing the wheel to its most fearful, reactive part. Your ancient brain gets louder, your logical brain gets quieter, and the result can look a lot like self-destruction. Psychologists call the behavioral outcome of this self-sabotage. And what most people get wrong about self-sabotage is that it has nothing to do with laziness, weakness, or a lack of discipline. At its core, self-sabotage is less about willpower and more about the brain's deep, almost obsessive preference for predictability over progress. Your brain has built a detailed internal model of who you are, your habits, your relationships, your social role, your identity. And when success starts to push you outside of that familiar model, your brain doesn't celebrate. It sends up a flare. Think about it this way. If you've spent years telling yourself a quiet story, that you're someone who almost makes it, that good things don't quite happen for you, that you're smart but not that smart, then actual success becomes a threat to that story. And your brain, which craves consistency above almost anything else, will work to restore the familiar version of you. It's not malicious. It's just how prediction-based survival systems work. The brain will actively pull you back toward what it knows, even when what it knows is holding you back. This is also where one of psychology's most well-documented phenomena comes in. Something called the imposter phenomenon. First described by psychologists Pauline Rose Clance and Suzanne Imes back in 1978. Research defines it as intense feelings of intellectual and professional fraudulence that persist despite verifiable achievements. In other words, people who have genuinely earned their success cannot internalize it. They believe their accomplishments are due to luck, timing, or some elaborate mistake. And they live in constant, low-grade fear of being exposed. Here's what makes this so psychologically fascinating. For people experiencing strong imposter feelings, success doesn't quiet the fear. it amplifies it. Every win raises the stakes. Every promotion feels like one more opportunity to finally be found out. Research published in peer-reviewed journals confirms that higher levels of the imposter phenomenon are directly linked to elevated anxiety, burnout, depression, and a persistent fear of failure. Success becomes, paradoxically, a source of suffering. And then there's the role of dopamine, your brain's primary motivation and reward chemical. You might assume that achieving your goals would flood your system with dopamine and feel incredible. But here's the neuroscience twist. Dopamine is far more powerfully linked to the anticipation of reward than to the reward itself. The chase lights you up. The arrival can leave you flat. This is known as hedonic adaptation, and it means that your brain rapidly recalibrates to your new normal. The milestone you dreamed about for years becomes your new baseline within weeks, and your brain, always hunting for the next dopamine hit, starts whispering, "This isn't enough. You should want more." And if more feels impossible, the anxiety creeps in. So what can you actually do about all of this? Because understanding the mechanism is only half the journey. The other half is learning to work with your brain instead of against it. The first thing that helps is naming what's happening in real time. When you notice anxiety rising after a win, or when you feel the urge to procrastinate right at the edge of a breakthrough, recognize it for what it is. Your amygdala treating unfamiliar territory as danger. That recognition alone begins to bring your prefrontal cortex back online. You're not in danger, you're just in new territory. The second thing is to give your nervous system time to catch up with your circumstances. Your external reality can change far faster than your internal identity. When success feels uncomfortable, that discomfort is often the gap between where your life actually is and where your self-concept thinks it should be. Closing that gap takes deliberate, gentle repetition. Celebrating small wins, letting compliments land, saying out loud, even when it feels strange, "I earned this." And the third thing, perhaps the most powerful, is self-compassion. Research by Dr. Kristen Neff consistently shows that treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a close friend significantly reduces the stress response and builds genuine psychological resilience. Not toxic positivity, not blind confidence, just the quiet, honest acknowledgement that you are a human being doing hard things in a world your brain wasn't built for. Your brain is not your enemy. It is a survival machine running ancient code in a modern world. And the moment you stop fighting it and start understanding it, something shifts. The anxiety after success starts to make sense. The self-sabotage starts to lose its grip. And you begin to realize that you were never the problem. You were just waiting for the explanation. If this video connected with something you've been feeling, I'd love for you to share it with one person in your life who needs to hear it. And if you want to go deeper into the psychology of the mind that shapes your every decision, hit subscribe. Because this is exactly what we talk about here every single week.